Here's a thought. Grow a sack, fill it with some balls.
The kidney has a very special place in the heart. It's an incredible... We're inviting Americans from all across the country to come. Somebody said, is that a Trump statement or is that real? We appreciate those camels. I haven't seen camels like that in a long time. They're just getting acclimated. You know what that means, acclimated?
Taking it back to Nevada where he's wanted for banging horses.
A nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your...
There's no way we are going to allow a con artist to take over the conservative movement, and Donald Trump is a con artist.
All right, what do you say we jump right into it? What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the show. I'm Boston Brian. This is Blunt Politics. I appreciate you for taking the time out and joining me here. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you could. It would be a great and positive help for the channel. What do you say we bring in the most fabulous chat on the internet? Yes, that is you guys. You guys know it. Don't brag. Don't gloat. You guys know it. It's okay. What's going on, Greg? What's up, Tiff? How are you? Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you, Bri. What's going on? John, Sammy, Victor. What's happening? Nola, what's going on? Nancy, how are you? Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Tag that like button on the way in if you could. What up, Jay? What up, Olga? Appreciate you guys. Yeah, so we got a lot to talk about. And, of course, diving into, what is Black History Month, it would only be fitting for us to start with having to call out some racism, thus coming from the President of the United States. Which is to be expected, obviously. But first and foremost, thank you to everybody who's filtering in. Thank you to Evie Zahn. Thank you to everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, the whole 9 yards. Make sure you hit the respective buttons on the respective platforms that you're on. Whatever helps. You know what I mean? It all helps. So, yeah, we're going to be diving into it. What's kind of crazy, though, is I think, to the best of my knowledge, it looks like Trump tried to take that post down. The post that we'll be talking about here. Let me see if I can pop this up here on the screen, because this is kind of crazy. I saw it this morning. I saw it on True Social this morning. I was able to get up. I was able to fucking scroll down to all the bullshit that he's posted, and I was able to see, the video in question. But since then, it seems like Truth Social's having, I don't know, a stroke or something like that, because every time you try to go to it now, it just tells me I get an unexpected error. Something went wrong. Watch, I'll try to, refresh the whole thing. Continue, right? Some reason the True Social platform is the only one in history that you have to verify that you're a human to get onto every single time, which is strange, I got to tell you. But watch, let's see here. I think the post has been taken down. If it doesn't kick me off already, I'll scroll down to where the post was before, right? I'll scroll down. You keep scrolling, keep scrolling, keep scrolling. It was right after a couple of these ones, right? It was right after this one, and it was right after this one. But I don't see it anymore. I just don't see it anymore. I see this bullshit. I see the Polish immigration. I see this. And then as soon as I get down to a certain point, or if I start clicking on too much stuff, it seems to kick me off the platform. But none of this, it was in between. It was in between this and the Oprah posts. And it looks to me like it's been taken down. And like I said, if I spend too much time on it, it tends to kick me off if I go too far down or if I click on anything. Let's see if it does it this time. But yeah, that video seems to be gone for some reason. Well, I mean, for good reason, but, don't worry, because the internet lives forever and we do have it saved, at least the more important part. But it's not here anymore. It's just not here anymore. At least the platform's not kicking me off like it was before. I think it's because my name is Trump Loves Epstein on here. As you can see in the bottom left-hand corner, that's the profile name is Trump Loves Epstein 23. So, I mean, there might be a reason as to why they're kicking me off the platform, but I don't see the post in question, the obvious and blatantly racist post by Donald Trump. Seems like his crew took it down off the platform here. because it's just not showing up anymore. But, don't worry, because like I said, the internet does live forever. And this is the post in question. And this is an obvious and blatant racist fucking post by the president of the United States. Again, during Black History Month, which is just an extra fucking kick in the nuts, right? Just an extra smack in the face to everybody. But I mean, how much are the maggots that are still left following this guy going to deny the obvious and blatant racism that stems from not only Donald Trump, but from everybody else in this White House? Stephen Miller. I mean, you just go down the list and every single one of them is probably cheering this on. But I mean, just sickening. I mean, this was part of a longer video as well. But again, that video seems to be taken down. But I'm sure it wouldn't take too much to dig it up on Twitter or one of the other social media sites. So, but I don't think it's that important. As long as we get the obvious part in there, call out the obvious racism of the post is the important part. What's up, Dame Dog? What's going on, Audrey? What's up, Dyslexic? Appreciate you guys. Hit that like on the way in. Yeah, but I mean, it's horrendous shit. But it's to be expected, right? I mean, this is obviously something that, you'd expect Donald Trump to post. You would expect to come from the right wing. You would expect to come from a Republican or a conservative. So it's not like, it's not like we're shocked and like in awe about this. It's just the overtness, right? The how blatant it is. How they're not trying to hide it. I mean, not that they ever were, but I mean, again, during Black History Month, at a time when they were, actively seeking out, part of the Don Lemon arrest and the other African Americans that were rounded up in that fucking whole case. It seems like they're really trying to send a point. They're really trying to send a message as far as who they hate, who they're trying to attack, who they don't want here, what they think about people that are brown, black, not white. This is a clear representation of exactly what they think. But, how long can people defend this? How long is Scott Jennings going to be on CNN and allowed to kind of defend this bullshit and talk about this as if it's like a both sides issue, as if, Republicans in any way are the same as Democrats? We're just not. Okay, we come from two totally different sides of reality, two opposite sides of the fucking universe at this point. And there's just no clear representation in way you could kind of compare the two parties right now, or the people involved in those parties, and what they want, how they care about humans, how they feel about their neighbors, and how they feel about actually, taking in the poor and helping them, or helping somebody that's thirsty by giving them water, or somebody that's hungry by giving them food, or somebody that's cold by giving them shelter. You know what I mean? Those type of policies and beliefs, and, making sure that vets are taken care of, and that people can afford, and be given free access to health care to keep them alive longer. Like these little minor things that we like here on the Democrat side, on the left side of things, just can't be, it's non-comparable to the beliefs and the policies and what these fucking sick psychopath and the sycophantic fucking morons that still follow Donald Trump and the MAGA party and the Republican Party, and that, to a broader aspect still to this day. But yeah, something that absolutely needs to be called out, and is being called out rightly so, all over the place, to a point where even Republicans and even people that voted for Trump, I saw this posted by Midas Touch, and apparently somebody was calling into C-SPAN, and it was somebody that claims he was a Trump voter and now is basically apologizing to the nation after Trump's post that we just showed. So I'd like to play this. Let me see if I can get it at the beginning, because sometimes I might have to go to the post, because I hate the way Instagram does these fucking things. It's just you have no control over you have no control over the media here. All right, let me see where this is.
Apologize to everybody in the country for supporting this rotten man.
John, did you vote for him?
And again, that's kind of picking it up in the middle. So let me see if I'll go back into it, right? And we'll see if we can pick it up from the beginning.
Oh, yeah. my word. I am a registered Republican. My dad was the president of American Pipeliners Association, so I came by it rather naturally. Voted for the president, supported him, but I really want to apologize. I mean, I'm looking at this awful picture of the Obamas. What an embarrassment to our country. All this man does is tell lies. He is not worthy of the presidency. He takes bribes blatantly, and now he's being erased.
What's up, Sparklers? What's going on, guys? Oh, Machine Tool, thank you so much. Holy shit. I appreciate you, brother. Slava Ukraina, I very much appreciate that. An incredible contribution. 50 gifted memberships. I mean, it's unbelievable, the contributions that you come in and make it to this channel. And we can't thank you enough for it. So, big salute to you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for staying involved in not only the big issues, but also, the smaller people, the smaller channels, keeping us on your radar as well. So very much appreciated, and welcome, Sparklers. Make sure you hit that like button on the way in. We're just kind of discussing the obvious and blatant racist post here by Donald Trump. And again, just in case you're just joining us here, filtering in late, obviously this is the post in discussion. Donald Trump posting this to his Truth Social, and not only did he retweet it, but he also posted it himself. So it's not even like he can use his fucking lame ass excuse of, oh, I didn't post it, I just retruthed it, or whatever the fuck he likes to say. No, it was actually both posted directly by his site to his account, and then it was reposted or retruthed by whatever account posted it to begin with. So this was, again, part of a longer video. Again, to the extent of what the rest of the video was about, I forget at this point. There was just this clear-cut moment that was definitely being exploited by Donald Trump and Republicans, because it's being highlighted, laughed at, pointed at. So it's not like this was just kind of like a happenstance piece in the video that we don't know if people saw. Oh no, they fucking saw it. There's a meaning behind it. I mean, it's clear. Come on. Who can deny this at this point, what they're fucking trying to have this represent, right? The former president of the United States of America and his first lady as monkeys, as apes during Black History Month, posted by the president of the United States today. And we're supposed to be like, oh yeah, that has no meaning behind it. That don't look at that twice. There's really no fucking racist, bigoted hatred beyond that that we could speak of, right? And again, I can't stress enough doing this during Black History Month. And it's not like they have a stopped, because I don't want to make it seem like they have a stopped this bullshit. But again, to make it so prominently featured, and to have the, again, White House, President of the United States, posting this shit during Black History Month, when he should be, remembering the history, should be, commemorating the civil rights movement and the people that led that movement, and so many different aspects and ways that we could talk about Black History Month and Black history in general, and the plight of the African American community in this country. I mean, any number of ways that you could fucking approach it, right? This is what they decide to do. And again, this is posted by Midas Touch, and we'll go back and we'll start it over again for anybody that's just kind of joining us. This is posted by Midas Touch of a Republican voter who saw this post and decided to take it upon himself to call into what looks to be C-SPAN to apologize to the nation on behalf of Republicans and Trump voters all over the place about that Obama post, which is, again, insanity to me that at this point you'd be surprised at this. Like, there hasn't been more egregious things, or again, egregious things on the same level that we could point back to point out Donald Trump's blatant racism, the blatant bigotry coming from the Republican Party, coming from the White House directly. Point to Stephen Miller. And all of a sudden this guy's like found the light in 2026 after this post. I mean, come on. I mean, let's no flowers for this guy, but at least he took it upon himself to call out, and we could use this, to kind of, to look at the way that people are supposed to react to this. Or, you would think that people with a fucking brain in their heads would react to this post. Sounds like he just finished his 17th pack of fucking Newports. He's got the Marlboro Heavies, the Marlboro Reds, or probably Winston's if I, knowing the Trump voters, who knows? Oh, you know what? My apologies. It'd be great is if I put the right thing on the screen. Let me throw this and I'll put it back on for you guys. But this is, again, just kind of shows the disconnect and like what has been taking place and what we've already seen for, over 10 years now by Donald Trump, the blatant racism. And now all of a sudden this guy's like, oh, this is crossing the line. This is too much. Listen to this shit.
I am a registered Republican. My dad was the president of American Pipeliners Association, so I came by it rather naturally. Voted for the president, supported him, but I really want to apologize. I mean, I'm looking at this awful picture of the Obamas. What an embarrassment to our country. All this man does is tell lies. He is not worthy of the presidency. He takes bribes.
He hasn't been for a long fucking time, though. Why in 2026 would this fucking clip in the video that he posted all of a sudden be the fucking straw that broke the camel's back for this guy? Is just like, again, something that's going to need to be studied for a long time to come as to like why people jump ship, when they jump ship, what made them jump ship, and like how they hung on to it for so long without noticing what all of a sudden became very blatant and obvious to them at like a certain moment in time. Right. It's just, it makes no sense to me. I don't have the, the education or the background to dive too deeply into the psychology of that. But I mean, I hope at some point somebody with the fucking background and the the degrees to do so writes a book or comes out with a documentary to kind of, tell us as to what the fuck was actually going on in these people's minds. Because again, we could point to any number of instances, any number of statements, any number of policies, any number of actions taken by the Trump administration, by Republicans, by conservatives at large to again prove without a shadow of a doubt that the entire movement is based upon racism and bigotry and hatred of others. Right, this white Christian nationalist fucking movement that has taken hold throughout the fucking Republican Party has promulgated to an extent that we're now seeing on the streets of Minnesota, that we're now seeing on the streets of LA, Chicago, New York, Boston, Maine. And it's only getting worse, right? So that's kind of the tip of the spear right now is what's going on with ICE, of the hatred, of the bigotry, of the racism. And that didn't just start with this post, okay? So for this guy to all of a sudden see the light, I mean, I appreciate, again, to whatever extent, I appreciate him speaking out. I appreciate him taking the time to call into, a nationally televised show so that people could use this clip, so people could use this for, educational purposes, and to be like, okay, this is what people, and, what we could show this to other people in the party and be like, okay, at least this guy, as long as he's stuck around, is saying this now. Are you going to say something like this, or are you going to stick around even longer after a post like this? So at least gives us something that we could use, but let's go on.
Blatantly, and now he's being a racist. Blatantly, they were supposed to deport the dangerous criminals. They were not supposed to go after small children, storm schools, bring terror upon, the little kids and the women and children, not just the immigrants in the school. All the children are scared. This is not a decent man. This is not an honest.
You don't say. You don't. The guy that was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein for over 20 years, the guy that flew on his plane, the guy that fucking was known for being a con man, a fraudster, the guy that said he was going to have sex with his own daughter, the guy that claimed and bragged about going behind the scenes at his fucking beauty pageants to see underage girls naked and getting dressed, and, said that, it was fucking because, he was the owner and got to do it, said it on Howard Stern. I mean, any number of things. What was it? The lady that was going down the escalator. He said, "Oh, I'll be dating your daughter in several years," or something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but I mean, just these gross, lewd, ridiculous remarks, or again, just his background in the the Access Hollywood tape of him talking about grabbing women by the pussy without consent. I mean, all of these things, and all of a sudden now this tape is what brought this guy around and being like, yeah, you know what, this guy is just not a decent guy. No shit. You think? We've been telling you that for how many years now? We've been trying to tell you what this would come to if you were to elect a guy not only once but twice, and that's exactly what we're seeing. So again, no sympathy, no empathy. Credit for calling in, but that's about where I draw the line in my fucking credit.
Man, he openly takes bribes. He's pathetic as a president, and I just want to apologize to everybody in the country for supporting this rotten man.
John, did you vote for him in all three elections?
I did. I was sucked into the stupidity of creating jobs, and there are no more jobs anymore.
Bro, you hit for the fucking hat trick, man. I'm sorry. You got nothing from me. You got nothing fucking from me. 3 times? No. What's the fucking saying that George Bush fucked up about 440 times? Shame on you, shame fool me once, shame on me, shame on fool me twice, Texas, whatever. You remember that fucking, remember that clip from Bush? That was hilarious. But, I mean, come on. There's only so many times that you can be like, oh, I fell for the propaganda and then the promises didn't fall through. Oh, again, I fell for the propaganda and the promises didn't fall through. Oh, the 3 times? No, sorry, bud. You lost it. You lost your fucking opportunity. That's why there's only 3 strikes in baseball. You're out, Chief. You're out. You're fucking, your voter rights should be stripped from you. You shouldn't be allowed to fucking cast another vote in this fucking country. If it was my choice, you'd be stripped of all fucking rights that lead you to a fucking ballot box and get to elect an official for any position in any county, state, or federal election from here till you fucking pass away. But that's just me. You know what I mean? That's probably why I'll never be president.
Mexico, things are worse than they were before. You cannot find a primary care physician. Our governor just passed some laws to try to help. If you are a young physician, we want you in New Mexico. Come here. There's a great need for you.
All right.
Oh,
well, again, unless you're brown or black, in which case you're going to have to carry way too many papers on you to fit inside of that fucking doctor's coat that they give you. You know what I mean? You're going to have to get like one of those lanyards and just keep your passport in it if you're going to go to like New Mexico or LA or Chicago or Boston or Maine or fucking, any other, Minnesota. And if you want to practice, and again, if you're brown or black, it's probably going to be a problem for you. But this guy thinks it's, he's just going to invite you there and just disregard all the policies that ICE is now fucking undertaking, disregard Tom Homan and Greg Bovino and fucking Tulsi Gabbard and what they're doing in Georgia. Just disregard all that. Just come on in. Come on. But again, no flowers for this guy. No flowers for anybody that 3 times somehow found himself voting for Donald Trump and the Republicans after knowing what he should have known years before, right? It just makes absolutely no fucking sense to me. All right. So moving on to, again, more people calling out. And this is just more evidence to suggest that Donald Trump's bullshit about let's just move on with the Epstein files. We've seen enough, nothing to see here. I'm totally exonerated. Like, it's just not going to fly. And this is just a little couple pieces of examples that I want to pull up to suggest, like, the people that are now talking about it and are going to continuously be talking about this is just too widespread at this point. It's gotten too out of hand. It's gotten too much for Donald Trump to handle at this point. He cannot keep it in a ball. He cannot keep it wrapped up on Pam Bondi's desk anymore. That fucking cat is well out of the bag, right? So now you got people like, Jimmy Dore. You got people like, fucking Nate from Valhalla calling out Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, and the rest of these, what he's calling pedophile protectors, people that should be fired, right? I'm just using these as examples. I think there's even a couple here from Jimmy Dore where he's now calling out Trump, where he's saying Trump desperately backpedaling in response to Epstein files. Well, that's funny. That's funny because I'm pretty sure there's any number of clips that we could pull up where Jimmy Dore is completely selling himself down the river to make sure that Donald Trump got elected. And it's pretty funny. And we'll go over those. But this is just, one of the instances in which Jimmy Dore is now talking about and calling out Dan Bongino. And per the Epstein files, per what's happened, per his humiliation with the FBI, and it's just to show that this isn't going away, because it's not just the left that's talking about it. It's not just liberals and progressives and Democrats and these people and blue-haired tree hugging whatever. No. It's the people that actively got you into the position that you're in right now, talking about this, calling your ass out, and if not directly calling you out, at least calling out the sycophants that you have in place that are doing your dirty work. So again, let's just see if we can dive into a couple of moments of this stupidity. I don't know if we even necessarily need to show the Dan Bongino one, to tell you the truth. It's just basically him calling out Dan Bongino for going back on the podcast and, leaving his position at the FBI, that shit, switching his position as far as, what he used to say in his podcast and being able and willing to release all of the information and all of the Epstein files, and now the switch that we've seen. So I think we can kind of save ourselves in going into that one. But this one is pretty good. This one's pretty fucking good, because here he's directly calling out Trump, again, the person that he went, used to be known as I wasn't really a Jimmy Dore guy, but, from what I've known, he used to be known as like this lefty, right? And then did this like complete fucking 180, kind of like the Anna Kasparian type. But now, all of a sudden, that he got the person in office that he wanted in office, he's not seeing what he thought he was going to see. And this is the guy, and I'll remind you, this is the guy that had posts like this, right? Remember this, with posts like this that he had? Biden started the war. So this is Jimmy Dore's post. And when was this from? I forget. This was from... it says a year ago, but this is because another channel posted. I think it might be from a little bit longer ago than that. But then he's got shit like this that he's also said. Just before we get into Jimmy Dore talking shit about Donald Trump, let's go back and actually see what he's seen. So he used to say shit like this. Remember this?
Wow, that lasted.
Oh, sorry. Let me go back to the beginning. The only place I could find the clip was on a TUIT video. So this is Jimmy Dore talking about anti-war and who you should vote for if you're anti-war. And and boy, did he get this one wrong, considering what we're going through today. Check this out.
So if you were the anti-war person, you should have voted for Trump and the Republicans. That's what this means. If you're pro-war, you vote for Joe Biden and the Democrats.
I was trying to save abortion. That's why I voted for Biden.
And again, so the anti-war party, if you were anti-war, you should have voted for Donald Trump. How's that playing out for you, Jimmy? How's that playing out for you, huh? How's it going with, like, you know, Venezuela and Maduro? How's that going on for, like, I don't know, fucking Iran? How's that going for, like, I don't know, Iran the first time we struck them? You know, how's it going with, like, what we're talking about with Mexico and the cartels? How's that going for you with the no war and the drone strikes and the, you know what I mean, the boat strike? How's that going for you? You know, the Democrats are the war party, are they? Good. Okay. Then now that we got that out of the way, I just want to make sure that and again, just to reiterate, this is another one of his, this is what he was talking about. This is the bullshit Russian propaganda that he was pushing at the beginning of and after probably about a year or two into the full-scale invasion of Ukraine. But all right, now he's doing a 180 again. Now he's not too happy because now he's talking about how Trump is desperately backpedaling in response to the Epstein files, which he absolutely is. But it's just hilarious to me that Jimmy thinks we're just going to forget about the fact that he was shitting on fucking Democrats and was absolutely sniffing the asshole of Donald Trump and absolutely was responsible in some part for getting him elected. But we don't forget here, Jimmy. We don't forget. People don't forget. All right, let's dive into this. I think it's, I don't know where I should pick it up, though. It's all nonsense and ridiculousness. I'll just start at the beginning. We'll see how far we can get before we get bored.
Trump is telling on himself in this tweet.
Oh, shut up. I said start.
Trump is telling on himself in this tweet. He's contradicting everything he ever said before, and now he's trying to make a completely different case, which blows up his earlier case, which reveals him to be a guy covering up the Epstein files.
So are you saying that he's a liar? I mean, is this like a new revelation for you, Jimmy? Is this like something new to you, like shocked and fucking, oh my God, this actually means that he's a liar. And we just couldn't look at the 35,000 lies that he told during his first administration or any number of lies that he told before he got into political office, right? I mean, it's weird how that happens. But you were simping definitely really hard for this guy to get into office. Again, the clip we just played says that the anti-war party was, you know, the vote should have gone to Donald Trump. And again, how's that working for you?
Sure. The Epstein files. So they haven't released 3 million of them. And so you have to think that the stuff that they haven't released yet is even worse. And so my theory about, I don't know if I've told you this yet, Kurt, but my theory about why Trump always brags that Marian Adelson has bribed him. And so he works for her because she gave him $250 million.
But you knew that before you started simping for Donald Trump to get elected the last time. So again, you're using information that you already knew was fucking public knowledge, public information. They've talked about it in ample fucking meetings and you know, galas and rallies about the money, the substantial amount of money that she and her husband gave to Donald Trump and how that affected the, you know, the moving of the embassy in Jerusalem and the Golan Heights and, you know, yada, yada, yada. The list goes on of promises given to the Adelsons. But again, all information that you knew well before you started simping and you know, talking about how Donald Trump should be the next president. So again, this is no flowers for Jimmy Dore hour, and he is absolutely just making himself look like a moron with shit that he should have known and did know before he again put us in this position by not electing the better choice, the better candidate in the last election.
Give him the Golan Heights. We did that. They come to that.
He sounded kind of bitter about it. It sounded like a backhanded,
in a sense,
compliment.
Yeah, he's like, wow, these.
What in the fuck is going on here? What is Jesus Christ? Put down the nitrous, Kurt. I'm sorry. I think your keyboard's clean enough. I don't think we need to have you order any more keyboard cleaner. I think you've had enough. You can't use a pipe for a keyboard cleaner anyway. I just feel like Kurt's the one walking around. You ever see those idiots nowadays? They're walking around with like the fucking 900-pound can of nitrous. You know, like the people sitting in their cars, like huffing on the thing, passed out. Like, I just feel like that's Kurt immediately after the cameras roll. I mean, after the cameras shut off and just before they turn on. Like, they have to, like, rip him out of his fucking, like, peel him off the leather in his car somehow and then, like, bring him into the studio. And this is just what he happened to be wearing at the moment. You know the people I'm talking about? They're just... You know what I mean? Just those idiots. I feel like he's got a big fucking nitrous bottle stuffed somewhere under that camera right now. He's just, what is happening?
Son of a bitch has owned me, right? But anybody says it. And the reason I'm like, well, why?
I rest my case.
Even for Trump, you wouldn't want to admit that. But my theory is that the stuff that the Mossad has on him, or Benjamin Netanyahu, the blackmail is, and that's really why he's doing all this stuff. And so
let me guess, are you calling for prosecutions for what we already do know, or are you just kind of doing this like, oh man, the 3 million, they're going to be the worst, but we don't really know much as to this moment? No, we do. We absolutely fucking do know about the atrocities and the fucking horror of what was taking place on the island and in some of these other places all over the globe that these rich pricks were at. We absolutely do know. And again, that guy that you wanted to have fucking as president for the fucking second time is mentioned in there almost 40,000 different times. And now all of a sudden you're like, oh, this big revelation of like, holy shit, he's a liar and he's Epstein's friend? Whoa, how could we have possibly seen this coming?
He wants people to think it's because he's been paid off, because he's almost proud of being paid off. Look, I got $250 million for nothing. And of course,
I think that's a great theory.
Yeah, that's good theory. Great theory. Yep. If Kurt agrees with it, you know it's the most moronic thing you've ever said. All right, let's just dive into a little bit else. I don't know if there's anything else in here, but basically the point of this is to show that Jimmy Dore, even Jimmy Dore, is now calling out Donald Trump and isn't letting this go. So Donald Trump, if he thinks he's going to, shove this back into, under the rug somehow, he's got a fucking another thing coming. He is sorely mistaken, because people don't forget. The American people don't forget. And you know what Donald Trump says about the American people, ladies and gentlemen. You know what he says about the American people.
We're inviting Americans from all across the country to come.
Oh, Jesus, that's gross.
Here's a thought. Grow a sack, fill it with some balls.
whatever he wanted and refused to wear protection. He threw money at her and said, get an abortion. So this is the kind. So there's all.
Yeah. So are you calling for his removal? Are you calling for him like in his resignation? Are you calling for him to step down? Are you calling for impeachment? Are you calling for convictions? Are you calling for investigations? What are we doing here? What are you actually going through this for? Are you gonna stick with this and actually be like, oh, you know what? I apologize that I actually told you guys to vote for a fucking pedophile and a pedophile protector. Like, sorry that it ended up being true. All the things that you guys on the left were saying, all the lies that you said he was telling, all the promises that you said he wasn't gonna keep, and he fucking, how he said he was gonna keep peace and he was the president of peace and this, that, and the other thing. And all of a sudden now there's more war, there's more fucking contention, and there's more fucking battles and uncertainty going on, throughout the globe than there has been in, recent memory. Yeah, those things. Well, it's a problem now, isn't it, Jimmy? It is a problem now, but too bad you were a little slow on the uptake on that one. But, he's not the only one. He's not the only one, at least doing the bare minimum in calling out these sick, psychotic fucking, fucking, I don't even know what you call them, monsters, all of them. Sick, like, what do you call people that cover up for a fucking ring like this? Just degenerates, psychotic fucking morons? I don't know. One of those things. But here he is, good buddy Nate, the old temperature gauge here of what's supposed to be happening with the battle, the civil war going on between the right and the conservatives. And this is Kash Patel and Pam Bondi lied under oath and should be fired. Well, again, I great that you're calling out these people, but why not take that next leap? Why not go straight to the top and say, hey, they were lying on behalf of the president of the United States, so therefore the president of the United States should resign, should step down, should be impeached, should be fucking, on trial, whatever. But again, you still see the disconnect that they have. As much as they want to be like on the right side of history and calling this stuff out, a few of them, not all of them, right? They just cannot bring themselves to go that full step. And again, I'm still waiting the Nick Fuentes call out where he now said that Jeffrey Epstein was based and he's selling his own merch on there that, definitely looks exactly like the sweatshirt that Jeffrey Epstein wore in one of his pictures. I'm still waiting on that one. But the disconnect here of being like, okay, I have to speak out on this. I have to say something. I have to call out somebody, but I'm just, okay, let's stay away from Trump to a large extent. And he has talked about, Trump's involvement, and he has put Trump and Epstein's picture on. But for the fucking overwhelming majority of these videos and, people like Nate that are making these, they're calling out Kash Patel, they're calling out Pam Bondi, they're calling out Dan Bongino, but they're letting Donald Trump skate, for the most part. So let's just check out. I want to see how deep he goes into this and just how much action he thinks should be taken here. Or if he's just kind of doing this again, just to put out a video saying, hey, look, no, I put out videos that are definitely calling these people out. Let's check it out.
DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that.
A few moments later.
And if you see our memo on Epstein, you will see, excuse me, our memo on Epstein clearly points out that there was no client list. Our July.
Well, those two things just don't add up, do they? That's just, the two things cannot be simultaneously true. You cannot have at one point had the list on your desk and then also tell us as the American fucking populace that that list does not exist. Two things, oil and water, those two. Oil and water. You can't have them. And of course, that's old information. We know that. But again, just hearing it and how blatantly she's like sitting in front of fucking Congress right there, lying through her teeth. And again, this warrants action. This warrants action. This is not a non-prosecutable offense. Not even these fucking people are allowed to just sit there and lie in front of Congress. You cannot fucking lie to the people under oath. That's the whole reason you're under oath, right? So again, what's going to take place? What action are the Democrats going to take? Even when all of this is said and done, these people should be fucking held responsible. Not only that, should be held up on a pedestal in a fucking public square and then have their fucking trials done so everybody can watch. So it's all televised. So it fucking be broadcast throughout the world so people can know just who was standing in the way of justice and accountability when it came to the Epstein files.
6 memo.
Uh-oh.
And I'll just get through his intro.
As the EF have lost sight of, maybe forgotten about, that are extremely important to this story. Yes, the two people responsible for spitting in the face of all Americans. Who might they be? Let's see. What are they responsible for? Yes, the ones responsible for redacting all of the files, being held in contempt of Congress for over 40 days now because they still haven't released all the files, doing everything in their power to protect powerful files, and even telling us, guess what, guys? The files don't even exist. Yes, Tweedledee and Tweedle dipshit, it turns out, in a battle, a competition to see who's the...
I do not understand why singling those two out. Right, it is clear to me that they are doing the bidding. Like, they have been put into a position for a specific reason because they were going to do what they were told, right? Because they could be manipulated, because they weren't going to stand in the way of Donald Trump trying to sweep this under the rug, of Donald Trump's instructions, of his demands, right? So to me, it's like, it's almost like punching down. It's like you're going after the fucking riffraff, buddy. You're going after the people that fucking, they're just brain dead losers that were put in the position for a fucking specific reason, right? These are the people just, marching in a straight line like they're fucking robots doing the bidding of the Fuhrer and not asking any questions. What you really need to be doing is looking at the Fuhrer and looking at the people closely surrounding him that were actively involved in this and calling them out. And then it can kind of filter down to the people that were, used as pawns in his little game of trying to hide all this from the fucking public. But I never got, and we've done, I feel like, a bunch of these and calling out, people that are, again, just it's seemingly like being like, oh, I have to say something. I can't not speak up about this, but which way can I kind of not piss people off? And it seems like the road that they decided to choose on that was to go after Pam Bondi, was to go after Dan Bongino, and to go after Kash Patel. While, again, not looking at the right side of the room of Donald Trump with the fucking, the conductor's stick, orchestrating the whole thing from behind the scenes. They're just unwilling. They keep focusing on this way and being like, okay, let's focus on the chumps. Let's focus on the minions that are conducting this and not, again, the guy actually perpetrating the whole cover-up to begin with.
Most useless between a shit-flavored lollipop and a screen door on a submarine. A little reminder here in this video of why these two fucking idiots need to be fired. So that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. It helps.
And again, just to show that they're actively calling for the firing of these people, just not the right people. It goes to show that, to a large extent, this isn't going to go anywhere. This isn't going to be dropped by not only the left or the media or the right. It's just not going anywhere. It's too deeply embedded right now. People are too like grossed out. People are too fucking, emotionally invested in what's been going on because of the release of the files and what we've seen and the fucking sick, psychotic nature of the actions of some of the shit that we've heard. Like, people are not going to let that go away. And especially since, again, as we've been talking about, the victims have actively put themselves through hell once more in bringing all of this back up, reliving these situations all over again, putting themselves in front of the media, putting themselves out there at risk of death threats, risk of ridicule from the right and people mocking them. Like that's another reason that gives people motivation to never let this go, to continuously ask for justice and seek justice for the victims in this case. And that's just, again, Donald Trump has stepped in a pile of shit much too big for anybody to clean it off his shoes at this point. You know what I mean? It just, that's what it is. But again, it seems like other people are now realizing, the bigger accounts, and I'm not saying they shouldn't because Todd Blanche is on TV, but it's good to see people talking about the fact that the DOJ now, and as we were talking about in the a show or two ago, like, what's the next step from here? Knowing what we know in the release of the Epstein files, knowing the names that we know, knowing the actions that we know, what is next? Because it seems like it's being left up to the public. It seems like it's being left up to the citizenry to go out and make like citizen arrests, because the DOJ, the FBI, the three-letter agencies clearly aren't doing anything in order to prosecute people that were clearly engaged in a sex trafficking ring, clearly engaged in pedophilia, clearly engaged in criminality in one way, shape, or form. And Todd Blanche says it's just, no, it's neither here nor there. They've done their work. They released what they needed to release, and that's that. That's just what it is. You know what I mean? And at least, it's good to see bigger content creators now talking about this. Kyle says, Trump DOJ refuses to prosecute Epstein pedos. And it's good. Like I said, I just want to make sure, listen to a couple minutes of this, and I just want to make sure that everybody's kind of, on the same page as far as where do we go from here, or what's not going to be done. What are these people now saying as far as what's not going to happen, for accountability and justice? So again, I just wanted to go into a minute or two of this.
So, look, we've done now.
Oh,
shit.
Awesome. My apologies.
All right, welcome to the show, y'all. It is Thursday, February 5th. Hope you guys are having a great day out there. We got a lot of stuff to get to. So,
1 second. Where did I pick it up before? Right here?
5 different segments. That real broad takeaway that everybody with a functioning brain has at this point is that there's a shadow government of moneyed interests that actually runs the world. And effectively, they're this cabal of pedophile, rapist, billionaire sadists. And Jeffrey Epstein was one of the most powerful ones in the world. Okay. And he ran a honeypot operation. He ran a blackmail operation. He was a freelancer with different intelligence agencies around the world. He's worked with Russian intelligence. He's worked with Mossad. He's worked with the CIA. And had a lot of dirt on a lot of very powerful people, and he was directly involved in the decision-making for some of the most crucial economic and foreign policy decisions of modern history, right?
And again, that guy is now not going to be prosecuted, and the people going to be, the people surrounding that guy, the people involved with that guy, the people involved in the criminalities with that guy are now going to be actively let off the hook by the DOJ, right? Everything that we know right now and all of the information about, people being killed, people being threatened, again, not to go too deeply into it, but, the egregious acts committed against children. I mean, all of it, everything that we know. And Todd Blanche has the balls, has the fucking gall to sit in front of people and sit in front of cameras and, on national television and to say that, oh, it's not a crime to party with a convicted sex trafficker while there's underage kids and people engaged in sex trafficking in the same party. No, that's not yes, the fuck it is. It sure fucking is, pal. I don't know. You better go back to law school and reread that fucking section because you made yourself look like a fucking loser on that one.
Well, you would think that with this giant network coming out, this giant criminal network of wealthy elites who think they're above the law, that the FBI and the DOJ would at least pantomime caring about solving this and caring about, justice and locking up the bad guys. But no, here we have Deputy Attorney General.
Again, this is why I keep saying that this administration, that they've gone and overstepped the whole norm of what people used to do or say, because they have given up totally on the optics, the point of optics. They don't give a shit anymore, and they haven't for a long time on what it looks like, what they're saying, who they're backing, what they're not backing, the lies that they tell, the propaganda. It used to be to a certain extent, and like Kyle just said, he said, you would think that the FBI, the CIA, and the three-letter agencies would at least feign under Donald Trump, they were going to seek out these criminals, the sex traffickers, the child fucking molesters, and these type, the criminals in this. But they don't even do that. They don't even go that far. Similar to what Scott Bessent was doing and saying in front of Congress the other day. And yes, of course, I'm going to sign a $10 billion check over to Donald Trump, and it's going to come out of taxpayer funds. Like, there's not even like this air of legitimacy anymore. They are just going full bore because they know and feel like they have the correct pawns set up in the correct places to, again, eliminate any accountability that they would face. And, hopefully one day every single one of them comes to find out that that's not the fucking case. But again, to reiterate, here's Todd Blanche and even Laura Ingraham, where Todd Blanche is like, you can tell that she's not happy with the fucking answer that she's getting. Like, she wants to push back, but she knows she can't make Todd look bad in this situation. So she's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. And even she doesn't know really how to approach the answer that Todd Blanche gives. And you can kind of tell in this little clip here.
Todd Blanche, and he goes on Laura Ingraham show, and what he says is a quote that I think will haunt Republicans forever, because this is the ultimate abdication of your duty as somebody who's involved with the law. So let's listen to this, and then we'll react.
Is there any chance that any of these individuals who partied with Epstein and engaged in relations with minors will be prosecuted?
Look at how she.
And again, yes, Kyle's going to stop here, and I just want to reiterate the same point that he's going to make. She even frames this question in a way where it's basically impossible to answer it in the wrong way, right? It's impossible for, again, somebody that supposedly works for law and order, works at the Department of Justice, to be asked a question about going after people that were engaged in sexual acts with minors, to say no, that we're not going to go and investigate those people. We're not going to seek out, warrants. We're not going to seek out fucking indictments. We're not going to seek out whatever it is that you need to do in order to prosecute these people. Like, it's impossible to not answer that question and say yes, that we're going to do everything that we possibly can. And like Kyle was mentioning earlier, like to feign, even just for optics sake, to fake it. Like, you would think that would be the first thing that you would think of, but they can't even go that far into their soul. They have no soul to go into, but if they did, there'd be nothing in there anyway.
Phrase the question too. They partied with Epstein and they engaged in relations with minors. This is a softball down the center of the plate from Laura Ingraham. This is where you go, yes, we're going to investigate it and we're going to prosecute the criminals. That's the only acceptable answer. She literally said the ones who partied with him.
I can't the video, JD. If I could zoom in, I would. Why? What is it? It looks like just his American flag, right? If I'm not mistaken, why? What is it? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. I feel like I'm missing something.
And engaged in relations with underage girls. Okay?
I'll never say no, and we will always investigate any evidence of misconduct. But as you know, it is not a crime to party with Mr. Epstein, and so.
Yes, it is. Yes, yep. It definitely is to engage in a party with a sexual and convicted sexual trafficker while there is underage girls, while there is criminality taking place, is absolutely a fucking crime. And it's just not, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And I believe it was Ted Lieu that made that very fucking clear at one of his press conferences. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong on who had that statement, but I believe it was Ted. But I mean, come on, to come out there as the deputy attorney general for the Department of Justice and to be like, yeah, of course, it's not against the law to party with a convicted sex trafficker while he's engaged in the sex trafficking, and while there's minors at the party, and while there's people that were engaged in all of this criminality around you and surrounding you. Of course it's not. I mean, yes, the fuck it is. And listen how Laura Ingraham responds to this, because even she's like, I don't know, that doesn't sound good to me.
It's horrible. It's not a crime to email with Mr. Epstein, and some of these men may have done horrible.
But it is a crime to email Jeffrey Epstein and in any way engage in the conspiracy of the sex trafficking. Am I wrong or am I right? Any lawyers in the chat? Any law professionals or former fucking police officers or litigators, prosecutors, public attorneys, whatever it was? Anybody in there? Let me know if I'm wrong. But even if it's an email with Jeffrey Epstein and it's any way associated or could be associated with the crimes of sex trafficking, or again, sexual acts against children, whether it's providing the children for that party, whether it's just trying to, procure a spot at that party for you and your spouse or your friends, whatever it may be. But to the best of my knowledge, that would be, again, you actively engaged in participating in the conspiracy, the broader setup, the broader planning of the actual crimes themselves. And again, there's always smarter people in the chat than me. If I'm wrong, let me know and I'll be happy to correct myself. But again, to the best of my knowledge, you can't just go around emailing and planning, criminal acts with children and with the sex trafficker and be like, oh, it's only an email, right? What are you going to do? It's just an email.
things. And if we have evidence that allows us to prosecute them, you better believe we will. But it's also the kind of thing that the American people need to understand, that it isn't a crime to party with Mr. Epstein. It isn't a crime to have
Didn't look like that's all that was going on some of those photos. I mean, if the photos could speak, some of them look pretty bad.
That's right. And
again, even Laura Ingram's like, oh, geez, like, I don't know if that's a sufficient answer I could put out to my audience. Like, even they saw the videos, even they saw some of these pictures, and they're not going to fucking fall for that line. So you got to give them something more than that. Like, they understand that, this looked a lot worse than you're trying to make it out to be. These people weren't just going and having a couple cocktails, at some fucking dinner party. And that was it. You know what I mean? That's just kind of a complete and total disgusting misrepresentation of what these people were engaged in.
Unfortunately, photos can't speak. And so we need witnesses. And we
Are there videotapes that you all have? Or?
And again, listen, did you hear what he just said? We need witnesses. But he is also on record as saying, oh, it's impossible to confirm or to corroborate or to investigate second and third party information. So the guy that says, oh, we need witnesses to investigate is saying that we can't investigate if we have witnesses. McFly, how does that work? How's anybody going to put that into perspective for me? Can anybody? I'm not sure there's anybody smart enough in the chat to fucking make that make any sense. Because apparently it's impossible to just go to, okay, if I heard somebody else hear somebody else say something, right? And this is hearsay, this is second and third party testimony, right? How is that impossible to investigate? How could you not just go to just work your way down the line? Okay, if I heard Susie hear fucking Diana say this, go to Susie. Okay, did you hear Diana say that? Yes, I did. Okay, were you there? Did you tell whoever this person is that you heard Diana say that? Yes, I did. Okay, that part of the story is confirmed. Now go on to fucking the first person that they said that they heard say it. Did you say this? Were you here and there? Where were you at this date, time, place, location, whatever it is? If they say yes, okay, yep, okay, now it all lines up and makes sense. So that's how you can confirm or deny second and third party testimony and witness testimony that came from, I don't know, a secondhand account or here, whatever it is. You know what I mean? And again, I'm no law professional, as you could probably tell from my explanation. But again, this is just my best way to put it as a layman into like some sort of terms to understand. Like, you cannot say, okay, we need witnesses. And then when the witnesses in their testimony is released in the Epstein files, and then be like, oh, it's impossible to investigate. there's nothing we can do with that. Again, you can't have your cake and eat it too. And I think Laura Ingraham recognizes it as far as that clip is concerned. And that's not the only one. I believe I think Kyle posted another one here, if I'm not mistaken, from the old Blanche and Eista. Was it something like this? Oh no, he posted this little tweet. I think it was this one. It's becoming clearer and clearer, perhaps it all was clear, that the Epstein obsessives can't defend any of their strident claims about cabals of rich pedos. They have no evidence whatsoever. When you point this out to them, they shriek hysterically that you must be a pedo too. The only thing I can think of remotely similar to this is when I would write about campus sexual assault, scrutinizing alleged victims whose stories didn't add up, making excuses for rapists. I thought we had turned the page on this nonsense. Guess not. And again, I'm sure he has more clarity if you watch the full aspect of that to what he's talking about. But again, the whole point of this is to show that the DOJ is doing everything they possibly can to not take it the next step. And again, as Donald Trump's telling you that the entire country should move on from the Epstein files, we should be moving on to trials is what we should be moving on to. We should be moving on to public, really high profile, really well fucking covered trials that release all of the information, that prosecute all of these people. So again, I think if anybody's going to be moving on, if Donald Trump thinks anybody's moving on to something, that's what we're moving on to. Okay, that's the next step. But we're being actively thwarted at every step by the DOJ and by the people within Donald Trump's regime, like Pam Bondi and the rest of them, Kash Patel and the rest of them, that we're not going to actively see any justice or accountability or any work done in whatever investigations they say still remain open. There is just no hope in my heart whatsoever that this administration does the right thing at any point while they're in charge. So again, it's going to be on us to continuously push this, to continually keep this into the fucking news, continuously keep this being talked about on social media so they continuously feel the pressure. And maybe, maybe one day we do get some cracks being formed in this, and we do get some pressure formed, and we do get some new information, maybe in the next 3 million documents that are going to be released. That just makes it too overwhelming and the people too fucking enraged. And again, like we said, all of the other countries, well, not all of them, but a lot of other countries seem to be taking this a lot more seriously than we're taking it here in the United States, whether it's Norway, the UK, right? Again, they're all either seen in investigations, resignations, or both. So again, It seems to be we're only here in the United States is this being kind of let slide by the government and people not kind of taking it seriously the way that it should be taken. And again, Todd Blanche is going to be known throughout history as the guy going on TV to say, oh, don't worry, there's nothing to see here. It wasn't a crime to party with a convicted sex trafficker while he was engaged in, trafficking underage girls, and they were there at that party while along with other criminals. Like to have that on record, no, sorry, not going to work for you, brother. Not going to work for you, brother. All right, so let's move on to our next aspect. We got a few other things to talk about because not only is Russia having some serious issues right now as far as Starlink is concerned, and again, that raises just more questions to me than anything else. Why, if it is such an important factor and is such a fucking a linchpin and such an Achilles heel for the Russians, as we knew it has been, why was Elon Musk to this point being allowed to get away with continuously allowing the Russians to use the network? So again, that's another question that stems from this. We'll also get into the Israeli strike that killed over 24 people in Gaza, including more children, as they continue to bullshit about moving into a second phase of that. I know it's been a little bit since we've dived into the Gaza situation, but want to make sure that we're doing our due diligence in highlighting the atrocities that continue to take place over there as well. Because even though the situation to a certain extent has improved, it is still a very dire situation in which people are being killed needlessly by the Israelis. So we'll definitely hop into that. But first, let's dive into this I've Had It Ladies podcast. I know I call it the I've Had It Ladies. I don't know why I do, but I feel like it fits. And they were talking about Donald Trump's Christian prayer breakfast in which he was just absolutely fucking brain dead. I don't know what was, if he was tired. I don't know if the medication hadn't kicked in yet, but boy, oh boy, did this guy absolutely fucking melt down at the prayer breakfast, talking about the most un-Christian, un-Catholic, unfucking unholy things you could possibly think of as far as killing people, right? But yeah, they dive into it just a little bit. And because I didn't get to cover it yesterday,
all right, the United States of America,
I ran out of time. Some people say, luckily, I just wanted to kind of see what they were talking about it, see what they had to say. I think they play a couple clips anyway. So what do you say we dive into it? I appreciate it, guys.
Has a president that is in the epicenter of a child sex trafficking ring. And it gets this spotted news coverage. But more than anything, every single day he gets in front of the camera and he is a raving lunatic. I mean, his mental illness is on full display. His dementia is on full display. His personality disorders are on full display. The unblended makeup on full display. And the press...
I saw, speaking of the unblended makeup, I saw a comment. I forget, I don't know who left it, but it said, somebody said it looked like he fell face first into a bowl of spaghetti sauce. Because of the fucking, just the blatant line of orange to white that happens like just as his ears meet his cheeks. It does look like he fell face first into some like cinnamon powder or something like that.
Just rolls along with it. Today we had the National Prayer Breakfast. And for those international listeners that want to know, why is this man not held accountable? And I'm going to tell you, it's because not all Christians in the United States, but a very organized cult, white Christian evangelicals, support this man to the tune of 80 to 90%.
Yeah, it's like he fell face first in turmeric. You know, it's like nutmeg. Like he fell face first in some nutmeg. I wish I could find the picture. I'm sure there's a billion pictures I could find.
And they allow him to do whatever he wants with impunity. They all claim they're pro-children, pro-life, pro-family. They all go to the National Prayer Breakfast. And here he is talking about he won't even pray with little Moses Mike Grinder Johnson. Play the clip.
Yeah, this one. This is good. This is probably the most accurate and famous one that we could point out. This one. Like he just... like he fell face first into fucking turmeric or nutmeg. You know what I mean? It's not even, I know a lot of people say Chester Cheeto. It's not even the Cheeto color though. It's not even that bright. Like he can't even get it matched that well. Yeah, paprika. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, what are you fucking doing, bro? Like, how does anybody leave the house like that? How could you possibly leave the house like that? Oh man. All right, back to it. Sorry.
In 2025, more copies of the Holy Bible were sold in the United States than at any time in the last 100 years. Now, how about that? How about that? Did you know that, Mr. Speaker? You know, Mike Johnson's
Did you know that, Mr. Speaker?
Very religious person, and he does not hide it. He'll say to me sometimes at lunch, "Sir, may we pray?" I say, "Excuse me? We're having lunch." You know, the Oval. It's okay with me.
Like, he outright tells these people that he finds religion annoying. Like, that's what he's saying here, right? Like, he's basically saying, what the fuck do you want to pray right now for? We're having lunch. Like, shut the fuck up, Mike. Go hit the bricks. Pray outside if you want to pray. I'm fucking deep. I'm fucking 2 bites deep into my double cheeseburger already. And this guy wants to say a prayer. Like, that's basically what he's getting across right now. Like, we'll be sitting there. I got 10 Diet Cokes and 14 cheeseburgers in front of me. And I'm ready to fucking chow down, baby. And next thing you know, Mike Johnson's popping out of his seat, asking for people to bow their heads. Like, this motherfucker. Like, that's basically what he's getting across here. And at one point, I don't know if they show it in this clip, but at one point he's like, talking about how he's never read the Bible, or he's making up this like ridiculous story about his first election, or the first administration. And somebody was like, "Oh, yeah, I don't know Trump really well, but he may not read the Bible, or he may not have read it ever at all, but he'll be a good messenger for us." Like, he's clearly telling them, I don't give a fuck about your religion. I've never read the Bible. I don't know the teachings of Jesus Christ. Like, I'm just a big bullshit artist. For some reason, you guys have anointed me the messenger, and I'm just here to kind of fucking suck off the tea to that, right? That's basically, he's telling them that. Like, he, at every one of these, every time, the moment in time, and he's saying that because remember the moment where they asked him, "Oh, what's your favorite Bible verse, right? What's your favorite scripture? Do you like the New Testament or the Old Testament?" And he couldn't say a word. He didn't have a chapter. He didn't have a verse. He didn't have a disciple. He didn't have fucking anything that he could possibly tell you that it says he had at any point in his life opened up that Bible. Nothing. Not a reference. Not a fucking thing. And again, I feel like that's why he's kind of implementing this new fake story that he's got. And I'm not sure if they play it, but if not, I'll see if I can find it.
But he's a very religious person, and he is popular, and he's doing an unbelievable job. So I think God is watching over you.
Mike Johnson, the guy that literally just tried to correct the Pope on the Bible. Yes, you heard that right. The guy that says, nope, the Pope got that one wrong as far as what the Bible says about, immigration and helping people and caring for people. Nope, Mike Johnson felt it necessary to correct the Pope.
Watching over him. I don't know about me, so I hang around with him because I feel I'm protected a little bit.
Do you think, Pumps, that little Moses Mike Grinder gets what an insult that was to him? He gets that he says, ask me if
Little Moses Mike Grinder will never not be funny to me. All right, and I think they play another clip here. Yeah, they go on to this clip. And again, just for the sake of time, I apologize, but let me dive into the second clip they bring up here.
At the Christian prayer breakfast, play the clip.
I got impeached. I got indicted. Wipe them out. There's never been, to the best of our knowledge, any politician that's ever been indicted who won an election. Very popular politicians got indicted. They lost.
I mean, what better fucking way to implement a 74th National Prayer Breakfast speech than talking about the crimes that you've committed, talking about how many times you've been impeached, right? Talking about, you might as well roll into the defamation cases against E. Jean Carroll, the sexual assault cases that you were civilly found liable for, right? You might as well just roll into it all. Fucking name it all here, buddy. If you're laying it all out on the line. And I think this is the clip, if I'm not mistaken, where he talks about not reading the Bible. I might be wrong, but I think it's this one.
I got indicted so much, I got tired of calling my wife. I'd say, "Darling."
I mean, your wife got tired of you calling her. Stop calling me. Get the fuck off of this line. My boyfriend is going to call any second now, Donald. I told you, do not call me when you get indicted. Call me when you go to jail, when you go to prison, Donald.
I was just indicted again. She said, "Oh, darling." What does that mean? She's very elegant. You saw that from.
And obviously an idiot. Clearly she's a moron too as well. What does that mean? This word indicted. I don't know. Oh, yeah.
From the movie. She's not into the world of indictments. It's not Melania. Now she doesn't know what an indictment, it's not her deal.
Well, Well, you'd
the
think
movie,
she
but
would. You'd think she'd know something about indictments, considering the person that introduced you to her was indicted and convicted of sex trafficking. Oh, both of them. Sorry, both of them were Jeffrey and Ghislaine. So you'd think she'd know at least something about indictments and convictions. But apparently she does not know, Donald, about this. What is this indictment word did you say to me? I do not know.
First of all, 100% chance, 110% chance that they are not calling each other and saying, oh, darling, oh, darling, darling. Oh, darling, I was invited. And Melania is like, oh, darling, Donald, you are on fire. Why they indict you, Donald? She's probably like, you. Another thing here. The reason.
And again, I think they play, if I'm not mistaken, I think they play another clip here. Yeah, I think there's this one. I'm trying to find that clip where he basically tells everybody he's never read the Bible. Again, at the National Prayer Breakfast, and these people still think he is like the second coming of Jesus Christ. And they're so blind and deaf and dumb at this point that they just can't see what's clearly right in front of their face.
Okay. Here he is confirming that right-wing MAGA Christians hate Democrats. Play the clip.
I don't know how a person of faith can vote for a Democrat. I really don't. And I know we have some here today, and I don't know why they're here, because they certainly don't give us their vote. I certainly know that we're not going to be convincing them to vote for.
I'd like to hereby get a petition signed to out any Democrat that attended the 74th National Prayer Breakfast that Donald Trump was going to be speaking at. I'd like to know their names, please, because I do believe that should be something that is absolutely boycotted, which is any event that Donald Trump would be attending, speaking at, represented by other people at, anything like that should be boycotted, not shown up to. At this point, why the fuck we're still making this seem like a normal moment and we're just going to all congregate in the same place is kind of ridiculous. And again, I don't know. I haven't seen any video evidence of any Democrats that were there. I'm sure this could be one of his ridiculous lines that he says to make it seem like there are. But again, if there were any, I'd like to really know about it, because I don't think we should be attending anything that this guy's involved in. And this isn't the clip that I want to play. Is there another? I think they play one more as well. Let me see here. There's one after the commercial, I think. Yeah, there's one right here. Let me see what this clip is.
From the fake news, which is back there. That's a lot of fake news. Because last time I was having a lot of fun. We had a big crowd. We had 60,000 people, and I'm talking about the fact that I will never make it to heaven. I will never, ever. And I was being funny. I was trying to be, you can't be sarcastic with them because they write your words and they don't, the people are reading the words are much different than, but I say, I'm never going to make it to heaven. I just don't think I qualify. I don't think there's a thing I can do, but all of these good things I'm doing, including for religion, religion's back now hotter than ever before. I mean, I have to tell.
Okay, that's enough. Do you see how he talks about religion like it's a commodity? Right.
Yeah, it's a joke to him, and it's a blatant joke. And he says, let me see this, because listen to what he says here. Listen to how he talks about religion here, and then let me know if you think this is represented by Donald Trump, or the way he's speaking about religion in this. And as I said, I put this on Blue Sky and Twitter, where it was like, this asshole is so full of shit. Oh, and the Establishment Clause in the First Amendment prohibits Congress from making laws, quote, respecting an establishment of religion. Also, Trump, we're working and behaving. The Epstein files determined that was a lie. Listen to this nonsense.
I've always said, you just can't have a great country if you don't have religion. You have to believe in something. You have to believe that what we're doing, there's a reason for it. There has to be a reason for it. We're all working and we're behaving. I mean, I behave because I'm afraid not to, okay? Because I don't want to get in trouble. I've always said,
I mean, what an absolute joke, right? Just an absolute joke, pandering to the people, absolute, just in every way, shape, and form. They're just eating it up. Oh, yes, let's go. He's the fucking messenger sent from Jesus after he just told you he's never read the Bible. Thinks it's annoying when Mike Johnson wants to pop up and do a prayer in the middle of lunch at the White House. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous. It really is pretty ridiculous and obvious. You know what I mean? All right, let's dive out of that. We don't have to cover any more of Donald Trump's dumbass or the turmeric or the nutmeg covering his face. We can dive into a little bit of Tim Pool, though. Here's somebody we haven't taken a look at in a little bit. Tim Pool is now trying to do carry Trump's water, basically, for the lies about the 2020 election. Some of the dumbest reporting that I've seen, some of the most sycophantic and most bullshit videos that I've seen go out have been any of the right wingers now being like, oh, this is definitely a legitimate case, and we're going to rightly see the right winner of the rightly case of the rightly election this time, and totally not talking about the 6 or 7 recounts, definitely not talking about all of the court cases and all the bullshit we know about the fraud attempted by the Republicans on this side. We're just going to totally block that out of our heads. And Tim's going to go on to bullshit a little bit. We don't have to go into too much of it because I have a bunch to cover here related to Israel and then going on to Russia's problems as well, because not only are they in real trouble and up shit's creek without a paddle as far as not being able to use Starlink, but they're also having some more generals being shot on the streets. Because another Russian general was shot in Moscow. Again, they're blaming the Ukrainians for this, but that's just a typical fucking broadcast that they put out anytime this has happened. I think this is something like the 19th or 20th general to be shot. I think there's like 19 that have been killed. I don't believe that this general has died. I do believe he has 2, the latest reporting that I've seen, survived and is in critical condition in the hospital. But again, just some not good things going on for Russia, and we'll go into that in just a minute. But let's dive into a little bit of Tim Fool and his bullshit about the 2020 election and what's going on right now with Trump in Fulton County.
People are wondering right now, what is the Trump administration doing? With the Epstein files getting released, we're learning that a lot of really bad people are doing a lot of really bad things. And the question is, where are the arrests?
Oh, yeah, including the president. Are you going to add that part in?
Arrests. Many people are questioning Dan Bongino. What did you do when you were in the FBI? And it seems,
you see how dumb, like, you have to enter into this video with the fucking pretense of being like, okay, I'm going to have to act like an idiot. I'm going to have to act like a moron. I'm going to have to act like I don't know why these things are happening, why people are being blocked, why people are being defended, why we don't have the prosecutions happening. Like, you have to enter into this already before you hit fucking play or record or whatever the fuck on this video. You'd have to be like, okay, I'm going to act like an idiot. I have to present myself as a moron and be like, oh, I am just, there's no reason why I can think in which these people like Bongino, Kash Patel, Bam Bondi would in any way be willing and able to protect or defend these pedophiles. It's just, I don't know if I should look at Donald Trump again in the White House to instructing all of this to happen. But let's go on to talk about how that guy that's now protecting the world's biggest pedophile ring and his activity in that pedophile ring. Let's go on and talk about how he's going to do a bang up job and everything's going to be tip top and above board with this new fucking Fulton County raid.
Seems on the surface that not a whole lot is happening. To be fair, a lot of groundwork has been done by the FBI. They've arrested a lot of street-level criminals and really nasty people, criminal cartels.
They just haven't.
And the DHS, of course, is arresting these illegal immigrant criminals as well. But people
they're doing more shooting of American citizens than they're doing arresting of these like egregious criminal citizens, illegals that you think are out there.
Want to know about the corruption. They want to know about the powerful political elites who seem to be getting away with everything.
Well, that's funny because they didn't seem to give a shit when they were listening to Donald Trump talk to Brad Raffensperger. They didn't seem to give a shit when he was demanding that he find 11,780 votes because that would have given him, one more than he needed to win. Didn't seem to care when Lindsey Graham was calling and threatening and making demands to people. Didn't matter when Rudy Giuliani was traveling the country with his fucking dildo circus trying to get people to believe all the bullshit that he was fucking spewing as he was melting in front of cameras. It's funny how they now all of a sudden want to talk about fraud, but we're not going to talk about the fake elector scheme. We're not going to talk about the attempt on January 6th to stop the certification of a free and fair election, to again discount and nullify the votes of millions and millions and millions of Americans. All of those things you didn't give a shit about, and actually you were on the opposite side of giving a shit about. And now we're just supposed to believe that you care about, election integrity, and we're going to do this above board. Come on, T. The beanie's tight, but it can't be that tight, bro.
Well, my friends, I bring you now into the deep dive of what may be going on, though we, as just members of the public, can only scratch the surface. It appears there is a plan in place by Donald Trump and his administration to track down some of this corruption. Knowing Donald Trump...
Think of the irony in that statement. Think of the irony and stupidity in that statement. It is now Donald Trump that Tim Pool thinks is going to track down the fraud. the guy responsible for the fraud, the guy that perpetrated the fake fucking elector scheme, right? The guy that perpetrated all of the backdoor dealings that took place in trying to nullify the free and fair election that took place, right? All of the fucking court cases, all of the recounts, all of the bullshit about Hugo Chavez and Italian satellites and fucking Sidney Powell. And again, the dildo circus that was traveling around. All of that shit. And he's thinking now, you know what? A good sentence I could throw in this video would be that I think that Donald Trump's now going after the fraud. The fraud that, again, took place how many years ago at this point that you think? And that we've already been through 1.5 billion times? Well, so I can't wait for the sequel to 2000 Jackasses. I really can't. It's going to, was it Mules? 2000 Jackasses? No, I think it might have been Mules. 2000 Mules. The sequel is going to be great because the first one worked so well for you guys that I'm sure the sequel is going to be even better. We know how sequels always end up being better than the originals historically. So I'm sure the sequel to 2000 Mules is going to be beauteous.
Of course, it's particularly vain. He's going after the 2020 election, which I think is important, and I think we deserve an investigation and answers. And if Trump is
because God knows there hasn't been any investigations or answers to come out of the 2020 election. Again, one of the most heavily disputed, one of the most heavily fucking, litigated fucking situations in the history of this country. I mean, again, how many court cases, how many judges' rulings, how many fucking Supreme Court rulings, how many different fucking actions need to take place? Recounts, hand recounts, fucking digital recounts, and however they could be recounted, they were recounted. And Tim Pool's just going to be like, oh, you know what? I think we should kind of do something. I mean, as far as investigatory work as far as the 2020 election is concerned, I think we should really start up something. Like, do you see how stupid you have to be, or at least how stupid you have to pretend to be not only be Tim Pool, but to listen to Tim Pool? Like, somebody listening to this is like, well, didn't they do like 1 million court cases, right? Wasn't there like a bunch of litigation done on this? Wasn't this like one of the most heavily covered fucking situations in the country's history? And we did find the answers, and we did find out that they were the ones trying to cheat. They were the ones that had the fake scheme in place and had all the fucking people trying to steal the voter rolls and stealing the voter machines, and fucking Tina Peters and Mike fucking Pillow, right? You'd have to be like, it's almost like you've been trapped like Encino Man, like you fucking Brendan Fraser.
Proven wrong, then so be it. But now we're learning that over the past year,
if we're wrong, so be it, right? Like, he hasn't already been proven wrong. That's what he has to get past his audience. That's what they have to fucking forget, is that they've already been proven wrong time and time and time and time again.
There have been efforts to track down information on just what happened in 2020. It may be simple, my friends. It may be that through ballot harvesting efforts and lockdown, Donald Trump was handily defeated by Joe Biden. I don't think that on a normal day, regular people go out and vote for Joe Biden.
You think he's going to talk about the recount that actually was paid for by Donald Trump that actually showed that Joe Biden got more votes? You think he's going to bring that one up? Think that will kind of go well with his rhetoric? That's going to fit well with his agenda he's trying to get across to his crowd? And again, we're now almost 2 minutes into it, and I believe he doesn't even start reading the article until about 6 minutes into this. Watch this. We're about 6 minutes in. He's still not reading the article. He's doing his own fucking premium, advertisements. And then he goes into reading the article. He does it for about 2 seconds, and then he goes into Tulsi Gabbard, right? Switches right up. So he actually gives no information whatsoever. Gives no fucking facts, gives nothing to suggest that there's actual an above board investigation taking place or a reason for it to take place, and then hops right into Tulsi Gabbard and the whistleblower, right? And again, not talking about how Tulsi Gabbard is obligated to pass on that fucking whistleblower report to Congress, but hasn't done so yet, right? Just totally negates that, doesn't bring that up to his audience. So you can see how dumb and like blind and like, ignorant that you'd have to be, again, to either be Tim Pool or again, watch Tim Pool's channel. But let's dive into a little bit of the news taking place around the globe. And obviously, with Donald Trump in charge. It's just not ever good news, unfortunately, and there's more bad news to come here from Gaza. Another Israeli strike here. Let me throw this on the screen. Kills 24, and again, I'm sure the death toll has probably risen since then. That is just since when I put this into the rotation to view on the show. But this is a local 10 news clip just to kind of fill everybody in on what took place. To make sure that we're doing our our due coverage here and making sure that we're staying aware of what's going on here as they try to lie about a phase 2, as they try to lie about things really progressing, even though I believe the Israeli military still occupies some 55% of Gaza, if I'm not mistaken. So again, this is just a real quick 2-minute kind of recap of the strike. So what do you say we dive into this just to stay informed? I appreciate you guys.
A fragile Mideast peace ceasefire is under strain as Israel pounded Gaza with a series of strikes, killing dozens of Palestinians, including children. Our Ross Ketchke has the latest on the next steps of the peace plan.
Tonight, the aftermath of the latest deadly airstrike in Gaza. Israel carrying out a string of attacks in the last week after claiming the ceasefire was violated when gunmen opened fire and injured an IDF soldier. At least 50 people have been reported killed, including multiple children.
What second phase is this? It's all propaganda and media purposes.
Since Israel and Hamas signed the U.S.-backed ceasefire deal in October, more than 500 people in Gaza have been killed. The death toll.
Now, does that sound like a ceasefire? Does that sound like the firing has been ceased? Again, a death toll after this non-existent ceasefire that we rightly called out at the time. 500 dead Gazans since then. Does that sound like a ceasefire? Does that sound like we're ready to move on to phase 2? No, doesn't sound like it to me. Sounds like we're in the exact same spot that they were in before.
Leaving some Palestinians questioning the difference between the current peace and the 2 years of war.
We heard an explosion. We finished praying and found the tents destroyed, those who died, and nothing was left.
In January, the Trump administration announced both sides would enter phase 2 of the peace plan. This week, the Rafah crossing opening for the first time in 2 years. The passage between Egypt and Gaza allowing critical supplies to flow into the war-torn region.
The truth is we need everything open.
International aid groups say the threat of famine has been beaten back, but there's still work ahead.
The needs are still tremendous. So I think we have to keep encouraging everyone that yes, there is progress and that is a glimmer of hope, but it's not enough. We need to keep going.
Good afternoon. Meanwhile, First Lady Melania Trump.
So again, just to kind of reiterate what's taking place, even though we're not even though we might be engrossed and focused on what's taking place in this country right now, because of the egregious nature of the policies and actions being undertaken by this regime, we need to make sure that we do stay diligent on what's taking place in other places around the globe. And again, as the governments, our government in particular, tries to lie to us about the conditions, about where we are as far as, again, the non-existent ceasefire, and then moving on to phase 2, we need to be real about what's still taking place, the plight of the Palestinian people, and the actions that have been undertaken and still continue to be undertaken. Again, even though this non-existent ceasefire is something that the governments would love to tell you is still in place right now. So, talking about the non-existent ceasefire, there's a non-existent ceasefire happening on the streets of Moscow as well, because the generals and high-profile people within the Russian military continue to be kind of hunted down, let's just say. And this is whether or not it's coming from the inside or if it's coming from the outside. Of course, the Russians are quick to say it was coming from the outside, as they always do. But again, this is just a real quick update on the latest Russian general to be shot on the streets of Moscow. And then we're going to dive into the latest about the Russia's big problem. No more Starlink becoming a real issue for the Russian military. And again, raises even bigger questions as to why this wasn't done a long fucking time ago. Right. So, all right, let's dive into the Russian general being shot in Moscow. And then we'll get into, again, what's taking place on the front lines and the problems that the Russian military are facing. I appreciate you guys. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 19, 20, 25, 30,000 subscribers. You guys pick it. It's up to you guys that we can get there. So I appreciate you. Hit that like button and let's dive into it. Slava Ukraini, guys.
A top Russian spy chief is fighting for his life following a failed assassination attempt in Moscow. Lieutenant General Vladimir Alexeyev was shot multiple times as he left his home before the attacker fled. The 64-year-old remains in serious condition as authorities launch a desperate search for the gunman. Alexeyev, a close ally of Vladimir Putin, was shot several times as he left his 24th floor apartment at 7 a.m. local time on Friday.
Well, guess what? He's very lucky he made it to ground floor, let's just say. He's very lucky he didn't happen to be, I don't know, confronted at the 24th story of his building, because it doesn't typically end up well for people that are confronted, you know, say above the, I don't know, 4th, 5th, 6th story of whatever apartment building they are in Russia. Just, you know, typically the concrete wins on that one every single time. But, you know, again, from the reports here, I do believe they're going to say he did survive and is in what they are saying, I believe, critical condition in the hospital. But, you know, it's kind of strange how all of these close Putin associates, and even though, you know, you find yourself on the inside of the inside circle of Vladimir Putin, you're not always fucking safe. And again, there are initial reports to come out and say this was part of the Ukrainians' kind of intelligence agencies and services, is something that they're quick to come out and say every single time, regardless if it's their actions, they're behind it or whatnot. So I think it remains to be seen at this point. I don't know if there's any answers as to who is fully behind this or what's taking place, but I just want to make sure that we do get this reported here.
Russian authorities are now reviewing CCTV footage to investigate the shooting. Alexeyev is the deputy head of Putin's feared GRU military intelligence service. He was also responsible for the 2018 Salisbury poisonings. The attack on UK soil left ex-Russian double agent Sergei Skripal and his daughter...
So did he know too much? Right? Are they trying to, again, fucking thin the herd over there in Russia because they don't really trust people now? Again, this is what happens when dictators feel like they're kind of losing control, when authoritarians feel like they're kind of losing their grip on power. They start lashing out and people start being rounded up, even though they may not have any involvement or any intent on overthrow or coups or anything like that. The people start getting paranoid. You know, Saddam Hussein. I mean, fucking look at, you know, Stalin. Look at Hitler. I mean, look at any of these people. Mussolini. Same thing. You can go back in history and look at all of these psychopaths that at the end of their fucking reign, you know, kind of, you know, when they really started looking, feeling like they were going to lose their grip, they started lashing back and lashing out at every single person they even thought was remotely possible of discontent or, you know, fucking sowing chaos within the regime or within their power structure. So nothing to say that this isn't somebody that had been speaking behind the scenes of, you know, what he had been, you know, involved in, where the Russian military is and where they're going right now, where the fucking war is going. I mean, who knows? Any one of these situations could be a reason as to why this guy was targeted. So it remains to be seen, but I'm sure only time will tell.
Poisoned with Novichok, a military-grade chemical weapon. Brett mum Dawn Sturgess died in the bungled assassination bid after being exposed to the deadly solution. Alexeyev regularly gathers intelligence for missile strikes on Ukraine and is responsible for organizing staged referendums in Russian-occupied territories. Alexeyev
And again, there is always the possibility that this guy, who seems like he's responsible for, you know, a lot of heinous acts, especially and involved with the, you know, targeting of Ukrainians, who knows? Maybe the Ukrainians are showing their reach, right? Maybe they're showing the ineffective security within the fucking boundaries of Moscow, and that none of these generals are safe, regardless of how close you are to Putin, regardless how fucking close and deep inside of Moscow you feel that you are. Like, maybe, who knows? I'm not putting it past. Seems like a justifiable military target to me, even if it was. So, again, one of two situations here, but either way, seems like this general is not going to be making any calls for Novichok or any picking any Ukrainian targets for quite some time. Just got to say.
One of a small group of top officials who were tasked with negotiating with Yevgeny Prigozhin in June 2023, after the mercenary leader staged a short-lived mutiny. Ukrainian forces have carried out several assassinations on top Russian officials since the start of Putin's war in 2022. Despite speculation mounting that Kyiv is behind the attack, authorities are not ruling out the possibility that the hit was a result of an internal conflict in Russia.
There you go. See, I hear the end of that? Hear the end of that? Still not ruling out the possibility that this is part of an internal conflict within Russia. Again, never can you rule out that possibility, knowing what we know from Russia, especially historically, the actions that Putin's willing to take against his own, whether they're fucking private citizens or, you know, part of the military or part of the, you know, the intelligence apparatus, whatever they are, you're just never safe. The same way that you're just never safe around Donald Trump, like regardless of how much you kiss his ass, regardless of how many times you defend him and go on camera and lie to the American people and lie to your constituents in order to protect Donald Trump, like that one time that you don't have his back, the one time that you kind of slightly differ on something opinion-wise, or, you know, don't fully back him and this or that, you're out. You're gone. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? You're shunned. I mean, obviously, he's not undertaking it to the level that Putin is and kind of making them disappear off the face of the earth. But, you know, don't put it past him. Like, if he had that opportunity and he could make that happen, I'm sure he wouldn't fucking hesitate. But, you know, again, let's dive into this Starlink issue that the Russian military is now facing, because this is a huge story and a huge issue that they're now facing. And again, like I said several times before, it seems to raise the question as to why this wasn't fucking demanded upon Elon Musk a long time ago, and just goes to show how much control that he did have over the battlefield and how much he could have been helping the Ukrainian military for a long time now, but just, I don't know, just has not decided to do so. Just decided not to help, hasn't wanted to interfere. And again, I don't know if this was coming down from the top or whatnot, but this has definitely had a huge impact. So let's dive into this. This is Preston Stewart just kind of giving us the ones and twos on Russia's big problem.
So the Russian military is having a rough day. See, they've been using Starlink as their primary means of communication in the war zone, and last night, Elon Musk just turned it off. One Russian commander referred to this as their Achilles heel, with another saying this is a huge blow to the Kremlin. But my favorite was one Russian commentator saying, you know, maybe we shouldn't have been reliant on NATO technology to fight this war. Now, both Russia...
I mean, that obviously probably is the smartest take, right? I mean, it's just probably not good. And that's why the Ukrainian military was working so diligently, even when I was there, in order to disconnect themselves from, like, you know, the Chinese parts that they needed in order to, the DJI equipment, whatever it was, in order for the drones, the cameras, or any equipment that they needed that they were sourcing from outside. Like, they were working as hard as anybody has ever worked in order to create those parts in-house, to dissect what they were getting, to figure out how they could make it, to figure out what equipment they needed, what the process was, so they could do it in-house and not be reliant upon outside sources. Well, Russia didn't get that memo, right? Because it seems to me like they've been heavily reliant upon Starlink at this point, even though there are different forms of communication, there are other ways, but reliant upon somebody like Elon Musk and reliant upon somebody from the West in this instance definitely wasn't the brightest move, even though they've been kind of helped along and guided along thus far by Starlink. Definitely wasn't a bright move.
In Ukraine are heavily reliant on the Starlink technology. It's just, there are other options available. There are handheld radios, there are military radios, there are satellite phones, there are wires, like literal hard wires running from one position to another. A lot of options are out there. Nothing is anywhere near as effective as Starlink has been, not readily available as Starlink, and in many cases, not as secure.
So if it's that important to the Russians, why the fuck have they been allowed to use it thus far? Why do we have sanctions on oil? Why do we have sanctions on oligarchs? Why do we have sanctions on fucking American companies doing business in Russia? Why do we have sanctions on Russia buying parts from allies in different countries? Why do we have all that if, again, we're just going to have Elon Musk sitting there with the ability to press yes or no on the fucking fact that Russia is using Starlink to communicate with one another, to perpetrate a war on the Ukrainian people that's responsible for the fucking deaths of millions of people at this point, right? Why we're just going to let that happen and sit back and that was the thing that was always possible? It makes absolutely no fucking sense to me as to why this was allowed to happen to this extent, to this point. And all of a sudden now we're just noticing, or we've known for a long time, but all of a sudden the Russians are just noticing the importance of maybe not relying on Starlink, even though we could have done this a long time ago, seemingly.
Starlink. So losing this capability is a big deal. Now, the Kyiv Independent overnight said, quote, a new whitelist from SpaceX is shutting off Russia's illicit access to Starlink's satellite.
Well, yeah, that's a good point too. Krista is because Trump and Musk are Russian essence. Well, why wasn't this something undertaken by the Biden administration? Why wasn't this sanctioned per, Joe? Why wasn't this ability for the Russian military to use Starlink? Why wasn't that axed off beforehand? And again, same thing goes on to now. Same question, fucking is in place now. But I'm saying, if this was such a fucking Achilles heel, if this was such a huge and important fucking thing for the Russian military, wouldn't this be like, on the first page of things that we should eliminate? Shouldn't this been like step one on things that should be fucking cut off? I don't know. It makes no sense. It's, similar to that. What was the American company that was just outed the other day? We did a story on it. The American company that was supplying the Russian military with this hardware that they were using. Hit me somebody in the chat will know it. It's a weird tech company. I forget the name of it right now, but similar to that. Why the fuck was that allowed to continue? How did that slip through the cracks? You know what I mean? Let me know in the chat if you guys remember. I know it was like OBG, something like that. What was the? I'll look it up right now.
Internet across the front line. A couple days ago, the Ukrainian defense minister, in coordination with Starlink and SpaceX, came up with a white list, a good list, a list of Starlink terminals that were legal and acceptable to be used. Russia didn't make it onto that list. So overnight, all of theirs lost connection. They say shortly before 3 a.m. Kyiv time on February 5th, Elon Musk retweeted a new guide from Ukraine's digital transformation ministry for registering a Starlink terminal within Ukraine. Subsequently, a series of alarmed Russian social media posts indicated that Starlink terminals were disconnecting en masse along the front. They quoted an advisor to the defense minister saying the enemy at the front doesn't have a problem, the enemy has a catastrophe. To give you an idea of how big this is, the best comparison I can come up with for all of us that are not actively fighting in a war zone is if your cell phone just stopped working right now. It became a brick. All right, this is just a paperweight. No calls, texts, emails,
that's what it
nothing.
was.
Completely
Ubiquity.
useless. And not just yours.
Ubiquity was the company. So that, the report that we did not that long ago about Ubiquity supplying the Russian military with parts that they need. Like, how does that slip through the cracks for fucking 4 years of full-scale invasion? You know what I mean? Just these little things that seemingly are hugely important and could have hugely impacted the Russians' ability to conduct, military fucking exploration or conduct military, fucking missions. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make any sense. If it was that, literally a flip of a switch, that's all it took. A flip of a fucking switch, and it's 4 years on, and we're just like, okay, we're just gonna let that slide.
But all cell phones in the world, all right? So yes, there's a workaround. Of course, we can get landlines installed in our offices and our homes. Maybe we can access email and still send texts from computers. But if you're and everyone you interact with, cell phones, were completely useless starting right now, think of how detrimental that would be to your day-to-day.
Think of how infuriating that is. He's literally comparing it to you having your cell phone shut off, right? Just think how helpless you feel, right? When you're out and about and you don't have your charger and your cell phone's dead, right? Because you got your life on there, you get your banking, your friends. Half the people don't remember phone numbers anymore because it's just a fucking button that you push, right? Just think of how much that would affect your daily life or being able to, I don't know, even get to somewhere now that we have our maps and GPS on the phone. That's how fucking substantial this is. That's how important this is. That's how detrimental this is to have it shut off, right? Just that one comparison of you not having your cell phone, and that why is it still a thing that they were able to use? Is that not supposed to be like? Should he not be prosecuted, Elon Musk, for allowing the Russian military to use it to conduct fucking military action to kill civilians in Ukraine on a nightly basis? Or am I just way off the fucking map on that one?
How much of an inconvenience that would be? It'd be pretty significant for those of us, again, not fighting in a war zone. Now, layer on top of that, bombs falling, drones flying, soldiers advancing. A disruption in communications in a war can be catastrophic. I mean, we'll see how this plays out. And again, I want to stress, there are still means for the Russian military to communicate. It's not as though everything went offline, but Starlink not being functional means that there are going to be countless Russian units across the front that can no longer send reports up and down the chain of command.
Yeah, but just think now what this brings into play. Like he's saying, there are other ways of communication, obviously, but this is going to take either, wired communication, which takes a lot of not only getting the fucking systems set up, but even getting the systems to the front in the first place. So that's a lot of logistical nightmares, a lot of logistical issues, especially at a time where drone warfare is inhibiting, the movement of vehicles, to a large extent when you get closer to the front lines. But still, even radio communications, the radios that they were not using because they were reliant upon, upon Starlink, are going to have to be brought to the front lines. So even then, there's going to be a time frame where they're not going to have any ability to communicate if they were totally reliant upon Starlink. So are there other ways of communication? Yes. Are they set up for that right now? No. Is it going to be, some time before they could be set up for that? Yes. Could we be able to exploit, as allies of the Ukrainian military, that fucking darkness? Absolutely. But that, again, should have taken place a long fucking time ago. It's crazy.
Maybe can't get targeting data. In some cases, won't be able to operate their drones. This is significant. Russian mill blogger responses, or the Russian analysts here, Alexander Kotz, quoted a good Russian commander who once told him that the Starlink is the Russian army's Achilles heel. Two majors didn't hold back, saying, quote, "You're a piece of shit fascist, Musk, a Ukrainian army whore." And military informant said it turned out that fighting against NATO while relying on satellite internet from NATO and not developing our own solution is not a very good idea. Who would have thought it? Some more assessments here. Sticking with military informant, he said, as we initially feared, not only the terminals on drones died, but also the stationary communication at the front. Now this throws the communication and combat management of the Russian armed forces back a couple of years to the already forgotten ancient technologies of wired internet, Wi-Fi, and radio communication. Real quick, I want to stress those other means exist, but Starlink has been so fast, so reliable, so secure, so accessible across the front that people are lazy. Like this is just how mankind works. So in a lot of cases, both on the Russian and Ukrainian side, we should note Starlink has been kind of the preeminent mode of communication, and not everywhere along the front is set up for wired communications, wired internet, and or radio communications. Two majors, another Russian analyst here said, quote, "The fact is that in the absence of alternatives, the Russian armed forces use gray Starlinks, or illegally acquired and operated Starlinks, to organize communication at the front. The danger is that this was an easy way compared with creating something of our own. Now, either we do it the old-fashioned way or urgently come up with our own options." Military informant continuing, saying the high command essentially hooked the entire army on the front line to the technology of our enemy, making the Russian armed forces dependent on a single central switch located in Washington. For years.
Again, a single central switch that, again, took 4 years to flip. Like, if that doesn't fucking piss you off, knowing the, the nightly fucking news scenes that we see of apartment buildings, of kindergartens, of, preschools and hospitals, fucking factories and you name it being hit, and people being fucking dragged out of the burning wreckage on a nightly basis. And 4 years into it, and they're talking about this as if it was just literally a switch that has been inside of Washington, that has been inside and has, Elon's name written all over it, that just hasn't been flipped, that we just didn't find it necessary to flip. And all this talk about ending the Ukrainian war, ending the war in Ukraine, and ending, the Russian occupation and the full-scale invasion of Russia into Ukraine, all of this bullshit. Like, wouldn't this have been step one? Why wasn't this step one? Oh, the way that they communicate could be shut off? Okay, how about we do that? Let's do that. Yeah, let's do that. Why do we want to make it easier for them? It's crazy to me, and it makes absolutely no sense. But I found this behind the scenes. I figured you guys would want to dive into this because Andrew Mercado is once again covering protest inside of Minnesota. So what do you say we dive into a little bit of that coverage? Always good to support Mercado's channel and support the fine people of Minneapolis and Minnesota on a broader level for their, protest, for their getting out there and, making their voices heard. I am very proud to see what's been taking place in, Minnesota and Minneapolis, to be more specific. The people really, really showing out and showing up for the people of their community. And it's great to see. And I just want to make sure that the people out there protesting and filming and recording and making sure this is, going down for history's sake are appreciated. We're letting you know that we respect what you're doing. We appreciate what you're doing. And it definitely gives us the motivation to keep fighting. So keep doing what you're doing. Very much appreciated here from not only myself, but everybody here at the Blunt Politics chat. Thank you for the coverage and thank you for the demonstrations. What do you say we dive into just a little bit of this?
Immigrants are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Immigrants are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Immigrants are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Immigrants are welcome here.
Say it loud, say it clear. Immigrants are welcome here is the chant, just in case it's a little hard for you guys to hear.
Immigrants are welcome here.
I wish we had an aerial shot. I'd like to see how long this line goes. The last few protests that we've seen in this area were just fucking huge demonstrations. A lot of people coming out, a lot of people showing up. Look at this. Look at these signs. Look at these signs. People looking like they actually made those themselves, guys. It doesn't look like people are having these professional signs made like Donald Trump wants you to believe, right? Looks like they all have their own handwriting. Looks like some of them are cardboard. Some of them are fucking signs that you'd put in the front yard. Some of them are on bikes. Some of them are blue. Some of them are black. Some of them are flags. Some of them, you know what I mean? So this whole like, oh, it's an organized militia. It is a paramilitary force of people with leather handles on their new wooden fucking things, like Donald Trump says. But we all know Donald Trump has no balls. He's got no balls. He'd never be out there protesting anything because none of them believe in it much. They don't believe in anything enough. They just have no balls.
Here's a thought. Grow a sack, fill it with some balls.
They could never. They would never. You know what I mean? But good to see that people showing up. Let me see what the... Oh, geez, you got kids. Antifa's now recruiting children into their paramilitary group. Do you guys see that? We had children out there holding signs and protesting. Unfortunately, that'll be on Fox News in about a minute and a half. Antifa now recruiting children. Headline. And what strikes me about this is like the variety of people that you're seeing in the crowd, right? Everyone from the old to the young, to the rich, to the poor, lawyers, doctors, bus drivers, fucking post office workers, teachers, you name it. I mean, all of them, tall, short, kids, college students, every single fucking person that you could possibly represent are out there showing their support for the community. Good to see. And again, as well as going against the narrative from Fox News and the rest of these people that it's all, one subsect of the group or one subsect of the community. Are these people caught? Are these people caught? These people in the car at the stop sign? That would suck. All right, let's dive back in it. They blame immigrants, so you won't blame billionaires. Kristi Noem is so full of shit, she needs an enema. Stay salty, Minnesota. Ice melts. Fuck fascism. Inhumane calls. Ice out. Abolish ICE. Does terrorizing children make you feel like a man? Compassion matters. We got frogs out there. ICE murderers out is the sign. Sorry, I'm just trying to read some of the signs going by. How do we have money for ICE but not for teachers, veterans, healthcare, SNAP, and Medicare? I believe that says. Great sign. All are welcome in Minnesota except ICE. We the people. ICE, get the fuck out. ICE out now. Love it. Love it. Love how creative people are with these signs, too. Humanity over borders. See here. ICE out, nice in. And again, little ones here. I'll pop out of the way so you guys can see. You got the little ones walking by now. Like I said, just everybody. Tall, small, old, young, college, young. I mean, fucking preschool, high school, kindergarten. Everybody's out there.
This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy
God bless the United States.
This is what democracy looks like.
Yeah, line's still going all the way up there. You can hear the horns going and shit too. People driving by. The line goes all the way up there. It's tough to see when he's walking, but looks like it goes all the way up there. Well, it looks like Andrew's trying to catch up to the front of the line, the front of the protesters there. But obviously, much respect out to everybody out there filming this, everybody out there protesting, whether it's Mercado or, Jolly or whoever it might be out there. I'm actually trying to set up an interview with Adam Cray. I don't know if you guys know Adam Cray. He's popular on TikTok, hopefully spreading out to other platforms as TikTok is pretty unusable at this point. But he's been out and about in these protests in Minnesota, active and keeping ICE awake at night and obviously outside of the Whipple building. So I've been trying to, I'll see if I can reach out to him through DM, see if we can set up so we can, hear a little bit more of firsthand accounting of what he's, experienced on the street, what he's seen as far as, instigation and aggression from the ICE officers, the change in tactics. Some of the change in tactics that I was talking about on the show were coming from him when he's saying, he's now noticing that ICE is going around in cars that are, kind of looking like Uber. They have the Uber sign in there, so you don't suspect them as being ICE vehicles. Different tactics that they're now implementing, even though they say they've removed 700 of them from Minnesota. I don't know. We don't seem to be very believing of that. So I'll see if we can put that together for you guys so we can get a little bit more firsthand accounting of what's been taking place on the streets there. So, again, shout out to the people covering it and shout out to the chat. Appreciate you guys very much. Thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the generosity. What's up, Michael? What's up, Jen? Appreciate you. What's up, Five? What's it say? Firmala. Apparently, they've never followed the money. Orange turtle. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if they ever took 1 second to actually do a hard look of what they've been supporting for a long time, it wouldn't take much for them to realize they're on the wrong side of history. But I appreciate you guys. What do you say we get into thanking some people? I'll get you guys out of here maybe a minute or two early if I can. Nothing wrong with that. So you guys can go on supporting other independent creators. So you can go on and check out these protests as well. Very much appreciate you guys. Let me get this out of the way so we'll start thanking people on Venmo. Thank you to Dame Dog. Appreciate you, my brother. Thank you for the 10 for the vape fund. I appreciate that, Dame. Thank you so much, you fucking bastard, you. Thank you, Christopher, as well for the 10. Go Pats. If I win on DraftKings, I will hit you up. Well, good luck to you. Go Pats as well. Much appreciated for the support. I'm not happy with Brady, my friend. And again, above and beyond the whole having a MAGA hat inside of his locker, we're talking about fucking just an absolute moron here. Just total disloyalty. But anyway, that's another video for another day. But thank you, Garrett, as well, for your 10, for the love of democracy. Very much appreciate that. Thank you, Peter, as well. Good work, Boston. Brian, very much appreciated. I think it's all the work of you guys in the community that make this happen. I just think it's all because of you guys. So any appreciation I get, I'm throwing right back on you guys. So thank you, Linda and Thomas, as well, over the last couple of days. You guys have been fantastic. As always, can't thank you enough. Let's get into thanking some people here on YouTube. Started off in a big way. Thank you, Machine Tool. Very much appreciated for everything that you do. I mean, just an enormous contribution here of 50 gifted memberships. So 50 people inside the chat today getting a gifted membership for a month. Please make sure we're reaching out to Machine Tool, thanking him for his amazing contributions. And please think about re-upping on those memberships. Again, there is a big swing a lot of the times when there's a lot of gifted memberships. A lot of people kind of let the membership lapse, and then, you kind of don't think about it for a long time. But, if you can think about it, if you're up to date and you're up to speed and you find yourself coming back, think about if you're in the financial position to support the community. You can do it through Venmo, you can do it through PayPal, you can do it through Cash App, you can do it through many ways. You can sign up for a YouTube membership. You can check me out on patreon.com. Again, we have nothing behind a paywall. The Substack is free. Every bit of my content is free to watch. There's no ads. I sell you nothing. There's no corporate sponsors, nothing like that. It is 100% funded by the people that watch, and that is you guys. So I very much appreciate you for doing so. So thank you, Machine Tool. Thank you, Mark, as well. As always, the more we learn about Trump, the worse he is. Absolutely. I mean, there's just nothing that's going to be, there's no evidence to suggest that we found the bottom of the barrel yet as far as the depravity of Donald Trump and the people that support him. And it's only going to get worse from here on out, I believe, Mark. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Here he is again. Thank you, Mark, again for the 2 after January 6th, and still voted for the Mango Monster. Yes, I believe we're referencing the gentleman calling into C-SPAN on that one, who, again, gets no flowers. There's just no way that you're going to get me to pity you or show empathy to somebody that was fooled that many times. I'm sorry, especially as there was ample opportunity, ample people out there, such as myself, trying to give you the facts and the evidence to disprove what you guys were voting for. So So you're 100% right, and I second that motion. Mark, thank you, JD, as well. Zoom in on Blanche's lapel pin. I missed that one. I'm sorry, I missed that. I thought it was an American flag, but if he had another one on, I'll see if I can find that. Maybe we'll show it if it was something funny. But thank you, JD, for being here for 22 months as well. Thank you for everything that you do for this channel. Very much appreciated. Big member of the community, and we can't thank you enough. Mark G, back again with a gifted membership. Thank you so much for the gifted membership, Mark. Shout out to you. Very much appreciated. Make sure we're shouting out Mark and giving him thanks for the gifted membership. Thank you, Carol, as well. You've been amazing for this community. Can't thank you enough for everything that you've done. I have to have a Grindr account to find Mike Little Johnson and the others who's with me. Again, it might shut down at some point because it's been known to be shut down by these, different right-wing events that come to different parts of the country. So just be wary. It might not always work if you do get one. But I appreciate the contribution. Much appreciated. Shocky, what's up, Shocky? Much appreciated. Metropolitan Police raid Mandelson's house. Oh yeah, Mandelson's house. Yeah, that's what I mean about accountability. Shocky. It seems like, the UK, seems like Norway and a few other places are taking it, a lot more seriously, the way that we should be taking it as far as resignations, investigations, prosecutions. So the Metropolitan Police raiding Mandelson's house now is just another step to prove that other countries are doing the appropriate steps, taking the appropriate steps, knowing what we know to come out of the Epstein file. So Shocky, thanks for the contribution. Much appreciated for being here. Thank you, Lisa, as well, for the super sticker. Thank you so much. Very much appreciated for everything you do, not only for this community, but others. Thank you, JD, for the Viva la Resistance as well. Thank you for the 10 going right in the swear jar, as it always does. And thank you, Mark, rounding it out today. 2028, a pro-democracy president at Boston Brian as the press secretary. I am not sure there's enough bleeping going on. The FCC would probably have an issue with that. I would just go out on a limb and say the FCC might have an issue with me being press secretary, unless they could put like a muzzle on me, or is like some AI muzzle that changes swears to appropriate language. I don't know if that's in my future, but who knows? Weird things have happened. Donald Trump became president, so I'm not going to rule it out, So I appreciate you, Mark. Thank you so much. Thank you for your vote. But I'll let you guys go a couple minutes early today. I very much appreciate you guys. I will see you Sunday for the main show. I'm sure there's going to be no shortage of topics to cover from here till then. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, please. A lot of people watch the show and are not subscribed. We're trying desperately to get to 20,000 subscribers here at Blunt Politics. If you could share it out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, Blue Sky, Substack, wherever it might be, just kind of point people in this direction, because I do believe that we're on the right side of history, and I do believe that people need this more down-to-earth, real talk type of politics instead of the hoity-toity, pinky up, let me teach you because I have this or that degree. No, let's live it together. Let's go through it together. Let's talk about the impacts of the policies that affect us the most. And let's try to learn this together and be on the right side of history together. All right. I appreciate you guys. I will see you Sunday. Thank you to the chat as well. Thank you to the mods. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Tiff. Thank you, Rocks. All of you guys. I very much appreciate you. Thank you, Loketa. Thank you, everybody that helps out. Thank you to Alyosha as well. Thank you, everybody on Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out. It goes a long way in showing everybody that you enjoy the content and that you continuously come back. So I'll see you Sunday. Very much appreciated. Until then, stay loud, stay proud, stay aggressive, actively resist at all costs. Fuck ICE, fuck Donald Trump, fuck Russia, fuck Putin, Slav Ukraine, in case you're wondering where we stand on some of these other items of contention that we have now in our zeitgeist. But I appreciate you guys. I'll see you later. Thanks, mods. Thanks, chat. Best chat on YouTube. Best chat on the internet, best chat on social media, the Blunt Politics crew. And I'll see you guys Sunday. Thanks, guys. I'll see you later. Yes, thanks, Mark. Thanks, Adam. Thank you, Tiff. Thank you, Loketa. Thank you, Rocks. All of you guys. Big help. I very much appreciate all that you guys do. Mark, please tell Elizabeth I said hello. Thank you for continuously throwing out the chats and the links and everything like that. I can't thank you enough.
since the time of lobsters, right? There weren't trees around when lobsters first manifested themselves on the planet.
For miners, do we love miners? I love miners. The kidney has a very special place in the heart. It's an incredible thing. You know, they're just getting acclimated. You know what that means, acclimated?
Here's a thought. Grow a sack, fill it with some balls.
We're inviting Americans from all across the country to come. You'll have a group of Venezuelan killers, street gangs, occupying the town with MK-47s. I know that gun very well. I got to know it. I've become an expert on guns.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
Tell the director to call the White House. Do your fucking job!
It's a new form of vicious violation to our country. Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen. Somebody said, is that a Trump statement or is that real?
I can just tell you that a con artist is about to take over the Republican Party and the conservative movement, and we have to put a stop to it.
Eating the dogs, the people that came in, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pets of the people that live there.
Oh, get those lights off! Off! Turn them off. They're too bright. Turn them off.
Brian, you're drunk. You're drunk.
How do you lie to the FBI and now you're running for president? Seriously, how do you lie to the FBI and now you're running for president?
When you ran out the healthy arms, you ran out of really healthy, they had great arms, but they ran out. It's called sports, it's called baseball in particular, and pitchers, I guess you could say, in really particular. Gettysburg, what an unbelievable battle that was, the Battle of Gettysburg, what an unbelievable, I mean, it was so much and so interesting and so vicious and horrible and so beautiful in so many different ways. It represented such a big portion of the success of this country. Gettysburg, wow. I go to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania to look and to watch.
Thank you, George. No better yacht club. Thank you, guys. I'll see you Sunday. Keep kicking ass, all right? Support some other independent creators. Very much appreciate you guys.
Yes, of course, hence the name. Movement, it moves a certain distance, then it stops, you see. A revolution gets its name by always coming back around in your face. You tried to kill me, you son of a bitch. So welcome to the revolution.
Cacophony, a crescendo, a finale, a coup de grace.
The big, fat, sloppy United States.